I just have a problem feeling sad for very simple emotions and not very complex ones.
Think about a mentally disabled human. They enjoy the basic things that they have. They enjoy companionship, good food, fresh air, the sun on their back. We respect that.
I'd say it's fine.
To kill the mentally disabled human?
Yeah.
Why?
Um, it's a tough one.
Yeah,
Really
you seem to be struggling with that one. Don't kill mentally disabled people. Just because they're not as smart as us is not a justification for us to shoot them in the head. We should just apply this to cows as well. Because again, it doesn't matter that cows aren't as smart as us. What matters is, just like a mentally disabled person, they feel pain and pleasure and they want to live. If you're against ableism, then stop using it as a justification to kill animals.
I see. My name's Max. I live in British Columbia, and I have some issues with what you're saying.
Oh no. All right, yell at me.
All right. So, I noticed when you talk about animals and what they deserve, and the justice that should be given to them. I think you project, human emotions and human interaction to animals, like missing their family, or, and you also describe. I've been to a few slaughterhouses for work, and they use a pressure gun. They don't cut the cow's neck open and let it bleed out upside down like what you've been saying.
Well, no, you do. Hold on. Let's do these one at a time. You do have to bleed. You do have to bleed an animal out
after you pressure gun it to the head. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So some slaughterhouses bolt gun them first so as to stun them, and then they slash their throats open while they're hanging upside down to bleed them out. Some slaughterhouses have such a high kill rate that you can't stun all the animals before they're killed, and so they are hanging upside down, thrashing around, fully conscious with their throat slashed open. And there's plenty of videos all over the internet of that. But even in the cases where they are bolt gunned, a lot of times they're scared before that happens because you have to put them in a little area where they can't escape so that you can actually get to their head to bolt gun them. And and they're scared of that. And also, their skulls are really thick, and so not every time does it work with a one-shot bolt kill, right? Or bolt, rendering them unconscious. And so sometimes you have to shoot them in the head multiple times, and they're suffering immensely. But even if they were killed with no pain and no fear, it's still animal cruelty because they have their whole lives ahead of them, and they're killed when they're children. And you wouldn't want it done to you, and if this was done to a dog, you'd probably call it animal cruelty.
Right. I think it's wrong to project, our lives compared to them, because we're self-conscious, right? Cows are not. Pigs are not.
Well,
they're not self-conscious animals.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you mean by self-conscious, but the fact of the matter is that cows and pigs and chickens, they do care about each other. They can form friendships with humans. Some people have cows, pigs, and chickens as pets, and they act very similar to dogs in their social companionship. Or more so than cats. Cats aren't, not all cats are like great pets. You know what I mean? They're pretty independent and like kind of a dick sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't really like cats as much as dogs, but that's just my own like speciesism right there. But in any case, these animals, they do care for their young. They do have friends and families that they care about. They have mates and stuff, and they enjoy their existence unless they're being tortured by humans, right? And so for those reasons, I'm not just making that up. They actually do have strong bonds with each other. Maybe not to the same degree that we have with our own kind, simply because we are more evolved, have higher brain capacity and stuff like that, might form longer lasting, more intense bonds with each other than animals do. But nevertheless, they pass the threshold. And what about dogs? I mean, what? So dogs, we can kick dogs, we can shoot dogs because they don't form. Because they don't care about each other, or what are you saying? Like only dogs and cats care about each other, but not cows and pigs and chickens. Like farmed animals don't care about each other.
Of their own being.
What does that mean?
They're not aware.
I don't know what that means because all of these animals, whether we're talking about cows or pigs or chickens or fish or dogs or cats or monkeys or humans, these
counting every.
Hold on. These
every single.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just saying these animals clearly exhibit behaviors, and that are obvious signs of intelligence and awareness and consciousness and sentience, and the scientific community supports this. Animal behaviorists and biologists clearly confirm that animals are sentient, conscious creatures who care how they're treated. They avoid pain and fear, fearful stimuli. They, so I just don't know what you're talking about. Like they'll do things to get out of the way of danger because they realize that danger is coming towards them, and so they'll try to escape that. Why would they do that if they weren't aware of themselves in their environment and the threat posed to them? Like pigs,
No, they are.
Like pigs are as smart as 3-year-old children. Okay, so they like. Okay, you agree. So and there's videos on this. Like you can go to YouTube and type in intelligent pig, and you'll see this pig doing these tricks and like playing soccer and shit, stuff that a little kid can't do. And they're smarter than dogs. Pigs are. So if you're gonna say that dogs and 3-year-old children are not like self-aware or conscious or care how they're treated, I just don't know what you're talking about.
They do care how they're treated, but they cannot think of their thinking. They cannot critically think whatsoever. It's all primal instincts.
Okay, do you know what ableism is?
Yep.
Yeah, so ableism is discrimination based on someone's intelligence level, right? So saying they're not as smart as us, so we can cause them harm. Usually we see this in the sense of, discriminating against a human who has mental disabilities or brain damage. But we have laws protecting those people from being harmed because we realize that it doesn't matter how smart somebody is. What matters is they feel pain and pleasure and they want to live. They have interests and desires and preferences, and it is not in their best interests for us to needlessly cause them harm or death. So we give them legal rights to protection. But what we're doing here with animals, this is the most common reason why people think it's okay to kill animals needlessly for food that we don't need to eat, is because they're not as smart as us, and that's just ableism. But we wouldn't do this to humans, but we do this to animals. So this is speciesism, discrimination based on what species somebody's born into or their intellect. But the thing is, it's an arbitrary line we're drawing of discrimination because nobody gets to choose what body they're born into, and there's nothing wrong with being different. And so we need to, in order to be consistent and ethical, we need to just be nice to everybody, regardless of our differences. Because our similarities outweigh our differences when it comes to ethical consideration. It doesn't matter whether or not somebody can drive a car or think about morality or rationality or any of this shit or work a job or whatever. What matters is they're sentient. They have a brain and a nervous system, so they feel pain and pleasure. So all those things apply to animals, and so they should be respected.
I disagree with that.
Why?
Why I disagree with it?
Yeah.
Because I do not put human intellect on the level of animals.
Well, do you agree that there are some humans with mental disabilities or brain damage such that they are only as intelligent as a pig? These people exist. Sure. Yeah, these people truly exist. Sure. Some mentally disabled or brain damaged people are smarter than pigs. Some of them are equal in intelligence as pigs. Some of them are less intelligent than pigs, right?
Of course.
But all of that is irrelevant, right?
Right.
Right. So why does it matter how smart a pig is?
What matters is the value we put on their intellect and, the decisions we can make for them.
Well, you can still value a human more than a pig and be vegan. Like, that just means, you value the pig's life not more than a human or even equal to a human, but you value the pig's life more than a sandwich.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Alright. That's fair.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of, misunderstandings or preconceived notions about what veganism really means, and that's why it's good to have these conversations, and I appreciate you, having a polite dialogue, and I was a little antagonistic in there for a second, but it seems like you're, humble and open-minded and eager to learn and challenge what we're saying. That's a good thing. We appreciate you not just believing us, you want to analyze things critically and do some research and make sure, that I'm, speaking the truth and stuff.
Well, I got one more question.
Okay.
Do you place animals on the same worth of all humans? Do you think all species should be treated the same?
it'll depend on several different factors, and usually I evaluate that as like a specific human as opposed to a specific animal, as opposed to like a whole species versus another whole species. But like I'll give you a kind of an outlay of how I look at these situations. So a moral, or sorry, how I create a value hierarchy. And and this might vary, depending on which vegan you talk to. But the idea is like there's probably like maybe 4 or 5 criteria that I assign moral worth and a value hierarchy based on, like things like the first thing is sentience. Like, is the entity in question sentient, and then how sentient are they compared to somebody else? So a plant is a living organism, but it's not sentient because it doesn't have a brain or nerves, right? So that's excluded. And then on the lowest, but animals, because they have brain, nervous system, all this, can feel pain, are conscious, sentient beings, care how they're treated. So, but there's going to be a scale based on like how evolved a given animal's brain is, and the development of their nervous system. So the complexity will have an impact on their level of experience in the world and their degree of suffering and pleasure that they can experience, right? So on the low end of the spectrum would be something like an ant, right? As far as sentience levels, ants are super low sentient, tiny little brain, but they are sentient, and so I extend moral consideration to them as best I can. I step on them sometimes on accident, but I avoid it when I can. Going up the ladder, then you got stuff like lizards, and then fish, and then maybe chickens, and then cows, and then pigs, and dogs, and then chimpanzees, and fucking dolphins, and then humans, right? Human animal. And I think we are the most sentient. We're the smartest, and can probably suffer the most. Like, if I kick a human or I kick a pig, they're both gonna feel the pain the same. So in that kind of suffering, they both have nerve endings and a functioning brain, and so I don't think there's going to be any difference between that. But maybe psychological or emotional pain, it seems like animals sometimes might be able to bounce back better than humans. Maybe humans often need therapy. Dogs, like animals can get PTSD from being abused, but it seems like if you take away a baby animal from their mother, like a dog, we should not be doing this because it does cause them distress, and they do miss their babies, and they're their babies, not ours. Okay, but whenever we take away a pup from their mother dog or a baby cow away from their mother cow, those animals do experience pain and suffering. They may not realize what's going on because they can't see so far into the future as us. They may not understand the gravity of what's happening. They may not know that they're never going to get their baby back, or they, like cows have been seen, mother cows will chase after the farmer who's stealing their baby. Like they put the baby in a tractor and drive off, and the mother's like chasing down, like mooing, like freaking out, crying over the loss of her stolen child. Okay, so this is very real. But I think that if you stole a human baby away from a human mother, that would probably cause more distress to the human mother than the cow mother. But in any case, we shouldn't be doing this to cows either, right? So, but yeah, so sentience level is one thing I factor in. Another thing is lifespan, like how long are they going to live? Because that's so an ant might live like 30 days or whatever, versus a pig is going to live 12 years, versus a cow is going to live 25 years, if they're not murdered beforehand, right? A human is going to live like 80 years or whatever. So based on those, I would give humans, much more value than an ant. And similarly, a pig more value than an ant as well, because they're going to have more years of experience of sentient awareness. And then another thing I factor in is their contribution to the world. Is this individual going to harm other individuals? Are they going to help other individuals, or are they going to be kind of neutral and not really have much of an effect in the world? If the individual we're talking about is a serial killer, I'm not going to place as much value on their life. So if we have a pig versus a serial killer, I'm going to put more value on the pig, because the pig ain't going to hurt nobody if we let him live. The human serial killer is going to go kill a bunch of people if we let him live, right? Usually we don't have to make these decisions of I got to kill one or the other, but in these fun little hypotheticals of like a train is coming down the tracks and it's going to kill either this individual or that individual, and you have to choose which
Right.
one's going to, so it's fun philosophy. But and yeah, so like, but if we were talking about, let's see, two humans, like, but one is like a child abuser, but the other one is like somebody who helps children, I'm going to save the good person, you know? If it's a lion versus a gazelle, they're both probably equally sentient and probably going to have the same lifespan, but the lion is going to kill like one gazelle per week for like 15 years. The gazelle's not going to kill anybody. It's a herbivore, so I'm going to save the gazelle's life over the lion because the lion's violent. I'm not blaming the lion because the lion doesn't know any better and they're just doing what they have to do to survive, but they're really violent. So those are some of the ways I quantify all this. Another thing would be like uh, familial bonds. Like, does this individual have a family or not? Because if we're talking about two individuals who are all other things being equal, like lifespan, sentience level, contribution to society, if one of them has a family that cares about them but the other doesn't, I'm going to give preference to the person who has a family because I don't want to break all their hearts also with the death of this person. So, but yeah, so generally speaking though, like I think humans are more sentient, but humans are also like way more violent than herbivores, than the animals we're killing and eating, like cows, pigs, and chickens and shit. Humans are way more violent and environmentally destructive. But we are more sentient. We have a longer lifespan. We can change also. Like I have great hope that humanity is going to change and become predominantly anti-speciesist in the same way that we're evolving predominantly towards being anti-racist, anti-species, or anti-sexist, anti-homophobic, stuff like that. But a lot of animal lives are gonna be taken until those people change, and so it's a tough call. But I ate animals for 26 years, and now I've been vegan for 11 years, and I'm helping. I'm doing my part as an activist. So you never know who's gonna change. But I used to make fun of vegans. People used to, I used to be really selfish and violent and like get in street fights and shit. People used to think there was probably no hope for me changing, So you never know who's gonna change. Go ahead.
I have a question about your line of thinking there.
Okay.
I heard you discuss earlier that we should, as we phase out, we should get animals and put them in sanctuaries with tax money. Correct?
Yeah.
You did say that. So there's other problems. Homeless people. Why should money go to animal sanctuaries over the homeless if you believe that humans are at the top?
Okay, so well, and again, I don't necessarily think that humans are at the top, but I mean we are, in some ways and not in others. And I think we are the most destructive animal on the earth. But I am a human rights activist also, and I've been homeless myself for many years. I'm not right now, luckily, but and I've known people who had it worse than me because I was living in my car, so I was pretty lucky. But yeah, so I fight for the poor, and there's enough tax money from the rich. Like, you know how many billionaires there are hoarding all this wealth, and Amazon not paying any taxes, even though they're the biggest corporation in the world, right? So, Jeff Bezos does not need $200 billion a year. Not sure if
He does not have $200 billion a year. He's gained stock options.
Okay, well,
he's most likely making tens of millions.
I highly doubt that. In any case, he could sell his stock and use.
He couldn't sell that much. He really could not. He owns 60% of the company.
Couldn't he? I don't know how all this works, but I don't know exactly how all this works. But
laws against something like that. But
well, the point is these ultra rich people and corporations. Like, you can't deny that there's multi-billionaires out there and multi-millionaires out there who are hoarding all the wealth, and that they should be highly taxed. So
that's
well, this is my
subjective.
This is my viewpoint is that the ultra rich who only got that way from exploiting their hard workers, right? So I'm a communist, okay? That these people should be taxed to oblivion, out of existence, so that everybody is treated equally, and there is no class system, there is no homelessness, there's no poor, there is no middle class, there is no rich. I would like to see everybody treated equally and all of our basic needs taken care of by our society, rather than letting people die in the dirt. But yeah, there's enough money to go around to take care of all of the human rights problems and the animal rights problems, but we just let the billionaires live in mansions.
It's an interesting viewpoint. I think you're, overstating how much you can tax them. It takes a lot of money to fix homelessness.
No,
Look at
no, no,
the
no, no. Like,
U.S. spending budget, $10 trillion.
no, it would take 40. I think what was it? 40. Oh, I don't want to misstate this. I think it was $40 billion a year to end homelessness. $40 billion a year to end homelessness, which is like nothing compared to what we spend on uh, uh, all these unjust wars and bailouts for big businesses and tax cuts for the rich and letting people live in mansions and yachts when there's you care about the homeless, right? Well, let's tax the rich.
I think it's wrong to take other people's wealth.
Well, that's how they got rich, though. They took it from their workers. Because, like, their
Not
workers...
necessarily.
No, like, these guys set up a business, right? Hire workers. Then the workers do all the work, or the majority of the work, right? And these guys at the top just sit around pushing numbers around every now and then, investing in stocks and shit. Hold on. I'm not saying they don't ever do any hard work. But a lot of them, it's like a hobby for them. They enjoy it. They're having fun. They're not doing any hard manual labor, right? They get to go to, they get to take a break whenever they want, stuff like this. And they're just like schmoozing it up with other rich people making deals and shit. That's their job, signing papers and stuff. Whereas their hard manual laborers who are actually making the products or performing the actual services are getting paid minimum wage. This CEO would pay them less than minimum wage if he legally could get away with it, right? So he didn't care about the workers. He's making like 8,000 times as much as they are. So like, he's stealing the labor wealth accumulation from his workers, and that's how he's getting rich. So but we need to get back on animal rights. So the point is like justice for all. Like why are we excluding anybody from justice? Why would we say that animals should be excluded from legal rights to safety just because they were born different? That's what I want to know. Like, what's the excuse for this speciesism?
I the species because I put all human lives over any animal life.
Well, but I put like again that's not okay. There's a misunderstanding of speciesism. Again, you can still value one individual over another individual, but and that not be speciesism. It's based not on what species somebody's in. It's based on the value hierarchy that I was talking about earlier, which is multiple factors, but primarily sentient. But just because if I were to say that that I value humans more than I value ants, and if I give good reasons for that, not just because like ants are a different species than me, but because they have lower cognitive functioning, they have a shorter lifespan, they're not going to help the world in a meaningful way, etc. Then that's a different thing than like me saying pigs aren't human, so I'm going to kill pigs for bacon, even though I don't need to. That's what we mean more by speciesism. Is causing massive unnecessary suffering to innocent individuals, like when we just don't need to.
I just have a problem feeling sad for very simple emotions and not very complex ones.
Sure, but think about a mentally disabled human. I don't know if you have ever met anybody who has serious brain damage or anything, but they're like little kids and they don't have very complex lives, but they enjoy the basic things that they have. They enjoy companionship and good music or their favorite TV show, entertainment, good food, fresh air, the sun on their back, stuff like that, And we respect that in mentally disabled humans. We say, yeah, that's cool. Like, because it could happen to you, like you could get in a car accident tomorrow and have severe brain damage to the point where you're only as smart as a cow. And how should we treat you?
It's a tough one. I think about that one. To the point where I'm the brain function of a cow. I would say if I was being logical, I'd say the same as a cow, on the pasture. But I decided,
Wait,
all right,
that we should kill you?
no. Well, that's the logical reasoning behind it.
Wait, do you mean consistent? Because yes, like if you're a meat eater and you say we should kill cows because they're stupid, then it would be consistent to say that we should kill stupid humans. But that would I think that just because that's consistent doesn't mean that you should hold that position. That's not a good thing to be consistent to, right? So instead, I would say be inconsistent and just change your original viewpoint so that way you're not justifying killing mentally disabled humans or cows, and you just go vegan and stand up for humans and animals. You don't always want to be consistent. If your original viewpoint was wrong, you don't want to just keep it up in order to be consistent. You want to have the best outcome, and sometimes that means changing your mind when you realize that you were missing something.
But it depends if they have a family or not. Does a mentally disabled person at the level of cow have a family? Can have complex emotional
let's say they don't.
connections to them.
Let's say they don't. Let's
don't?
put them in a vacuum, wherein hypothetical here, so that we're talking about a specific cow and a specific mentally disabled human. Both of them are intellectually equal, and neither of them have a friends or family or any kind of social network. They're just by themselves.
There's no human with complex emotional connection to them. I'd say it's fine.
To kill the mentally disabled human?
Yeah.
Why?
Think of that logic. Just give me a second. I could justify doing that because it's a tough one.
Yeah,
really
you seem to be struggling with that one, and I don't see the need to struggle with that because I can answer it very quickly and very easily. Don't kill mentally disabled people. Just because they're not as smart as us is not a justification for us to shoot them in the head or cut their head off or put a bullet through their heart or choke them to death or whatever you want, or put them in a gas chamber as we do to pigs. Just because somebody is not smart has nothing to do with how we should treat them. As far as like whether or not we should treat them with violence or give them legal protection to have freedom from harm. Okay, and I can be consistent in a productive way and say we should just apply this to cows as well, because again, it doesn't matter that cows aren't as smart as us. What matters is, just like a mentally disabled person, they feel pain and pleasure and they want to live. Whether or not they have friends and family is ultimately irrelevant, but it does make it worse that we're taking their friends away when we kill them. Like we kill them and we kill their babies. We separate the babies from their mothers, and they cry and they're terrified. And they're lonely, and the baby just wants to suckle and drink their mother's milk, but instead and cuddle up next to their mother. But instead, we put them in a veal crate where they can't turn around and they don't get any kind of interaction, and then we kill them after a few weeks. And that's all. This is ableism. So if you're against ableism, then stop using it as a justification to kill animals.
I see.
And speciesism is not a justification to kill animals any more than racism or sexism is to kill black folks or women, because nobody gets to choose what race, sex, or species they're born as. And if you had been born as a pig, you would hope that the humans would be nice to you. It would be in your best interest for the humans to just be nice to you. And you didn't do anything wrong. Like these animals are totally innocent and completely at our mercy. These are childlike beings who are just trying to live. And here we come with a knife.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So just think about like the cultural indoctrination, the social norms that got us here, right? So I was raised to think that it's okay to kill animals or certain animals, right? Like I was taught speciesism of be nice to dogs and cats, but it's okay to eat cows, pigs, and chickens and fish, which means killing them. And I was taught that human supremacy, that because we're smarter than everybody else, every other animal, that because we're the dominant species, that therefore might makes right, and we can abuse the power we hold over the weak to exploit their vulnerability for our own selfish gain, for our pleasure, right? And then I just stopped because like that made me feel really evil one day. I was like, this makes me feel like a racist. Like I'm discriminating against animals because they're not human, but like what if aliens exist, right? Like I don't know if they do or don't, but hypothetically, like what if aliens exist and they came to Earth and they're smarter and stronger than us, and they're different species, and so they use all these justifications to treat us the way we treat animals. They say they enslave us, they torture us, they take our babies away, they murder us just so they can eat us when they don't have to. They can eat plants, but they do this right, and because they're the dominant species, because they're stronger and smarter, and might makes right. They're just using our logic against us. And the funny thing is, though, is that in this hypothetical, some of the aliens are vegan aliens, right? And they're saying to the aliens who are eating the humans, they're saying, "Hey guys, why don't we be nice to the humans? Like it doesn't matter that they weren't born aliens. Nobody gets to control what body they're born into. Like what matters is they feel pain and pleasure, and they got friends and families. They want to live. Like we can let's just eat these plants, you know? Like it doesn't matter that they're not part of our group." And the other aliens that are eating the humans are laughing at the vegan aliens, saying, "Why do you care about these stupid humans? Right? They're not part of our group. They're not our species. They're not aliens. They're stupid. They're not smart and strong like us." But that's speciesism, right? That's discrimination based on species membership. So aliens discriminating against us for not being their species, or us discriminating against animals for not being our species, right? Or like, what if it turned out that you're actually not human? What if we did a DNA test and it turned out that you're some weirdo alien? You look like a human, you act like a human, but actually you got alien DNA. Can we kill you and eat you because you're not human now? You don't matter.
No, I still have complex.
Well, what if you were mentally disabled? What if you were a mentally disabled alien?
I guess.
You look like a human. You act what you look like a mentally disabled human. You act like a mentally disabled human and talk like them and think like them. But you have alien DNA, so you're not human and you're not smart. Can we kill you?
Or with high brain function, I can, make complex emotional connections with people.
No, I was saying you can't because you're mentally disabled in this situation.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to.
But yeah, so that's a contradiction, which is good. So long as you abandon your original point, it's fine that we came to a contradiction because you don't want to be consistent if your foundation was flawed. So you want to run into a contradiction because that means you're not okay with killing mentally disabled people, which you should not be. Okay, but you should also not be okay with killing animals.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. And
so what should we do with them? So we need them for manure, right?
No, we've got vegan fertilizer and stuff. But yeah, we just stop breeding them as soon as possible. Stop breeding them into existence just for the purpose of slaughter and consumption, and then their numbers will decline as less of them are bred into existence because more people are buying vegan products, and then we eventually, probably in the next 10, 20, 30 years, starting with certain cities and then states and then countries, we're going to pass new laws to protect animals from slaughter and ban meat and dairy and eggs and make it illegal. And at that point, whatever animals are left over in the farms and slaughterhouses will be let me just finish. Will be transported to animal sanctuaries.
What's wrong with eggs? Missed that part. What's wrong with eggs?
Yeah, so all those animals are killed, and also again, heart disease. It's really bad for your body. So it's just we don't need to do this. There's literally egg replacer. There's vegan egg. Look up vegan egg.
Vegan egg. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think I have any more questions.
Okay, cool. All right, well, come talk to us again and watch that movie Dominion on YouTube.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
Pretty good.
Nice. What you've been saying, it inspired me to be vegan, so I think I'm vegan now.
Are you trolling or are you just like making my day? Because I don't get my hopes up
No,
now. Don't get my hopes up and don't bring me up just to put me down now.
No, I'm serious.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad to hear it.
But I don't know. It's like I like meat, but I don't know. After what you said, I don't know. It's kind of mixed personalities.
Yeah, I hear you. You can be conflicted, but so that's where you just put your foot down in the sand and say, you know what, I'm gonna take a stand for justice. I want to make this world a better place than it is. There's enough suffering here already. I don't want to add to it. I want to try to save some people and some animals from some suffering. Right? It's a good thing to do.
Yep. That's what I stand by.
Cool, man. Because that's what we would want if we were the victim. We would hope that somebody would stand up and rescue us, right?
Yep, exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, I recommend that you follow me on YouTube.
All right, I'll check it out. Oh well. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I'm gonna go now. I have to go. It's my bedtime.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Well, that was nice.
I want to ask you, what do you think about Muslims, and what do you know about Muslims on the food side and on the animal side? Because I personally am a Muslim, and I just want to, share the information.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm an atheist and an activist for atheism, but I enjoy having religious discussions with people. I was raised Christian, but I don't believe in any gods anymore, and so I know a lot about Christianity, but I don't know much about Islam. I'm learning. But I know a few things about like halal slaughter and haram and things like that. And so I know that like Islam teaches that you should be kind to animals, but that it's okay to kill animals for food, but that you have to do it in a certain way where they don't suffer supposedly, and that's halal, and but also that you don't have to eat animals in order to be Muslim, right? So there are a lot of vegan Muslims.
Yes, and you forgot one thing. We cannot eat. It's literally prohibited to eat pigs.
Yeah.
Bacon, anything like that, is prohibited. Our God literally cares only for cares for us. Okay, so we are prohibited to like do anything that harms us in any way. Even drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. So that just explains why we cannot eat bacon. And yeah, and halal slaughtering, which you said, which you have to cut by the neck, which cuts the nervous system, neglecting all the pain. And I heard you said that, okay, yeah, they have lives and so on, so they have pleasure, they want to have pleasure, they have kids and whatnot, so they want to continue their life.
A lot of times people will start eating a vegan diet, like they'll be plant-based, they'll eat plant foods, but only because of their health, right? They're not doing it for the animals. And when people, that's not vegan. That's just being plant-based. Being vegan means you're doing it for the animals. So people who start eating a plant-based diet for their health, where there's no moral motivation, it's just for themselves, it's like a selfish kind of thing. It's good to eat healthy, but you're not really concerned about anybody else when you're doing that, right? So those people will often go back to eating animals because there's no ethical motivation, there's no moral imperative or obligation to be nice to animals. They never made that connection. So it's easy for them to say, well, I just miss eating burgers or chicken, so I'm going to just eat it again, I don't care about my health anymore. But people who go vegan, right? People who stop eating animals because they care about animals very rarely go back to eating animals, because we did it because we realize how horrible these animals are treated and how they deserve justice and kindness and respect, and that it's animal cruelty to cut their heads off. And we become so against that violence, that it's like very rare for somebody to go back on that. It happens every now and then, but it's very rare. Most people who are against child abuse don't start abusing children all of a sudden, like, because it's a very serious issue. It's part of their life, you know. They would feel like a bad person if they did it.
Uh, well, I want to ask another question. What do you think about, like, of course, I'm not gonna say anything because, like, people are different. Like, there are awful vegan activists who do vandalism, which is not the best way to like give other people advice and tell them to not eat animals. And there are good activists, or like good protesters, you can say, who don't get in anyone's way. They don't force. They just suggest. You know me. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah, I understand. I do
What do you
both.
think about?
I do both. Like, in the sense of right now I'm just having a polite discussion, educational outreach, answering questions, explaining things, giving information. But I also do break the law, disruptive protests, trespassing,
Uh,
going on to farms and slaughterhouses and rescuing animals illegally and taking them to a vet and then to sanctuary. I get on the megaphone and block the street and go inside of restaurants and grocery stores and scream about animals and slaughterhouses. And I am working to change the law so that people cannot do this even if they want to. That they can, if you want to kick a dog, too bad. We're making kicking dogs illegal. If you want to stab a cow, too bad. We're making stabbing cows illegal.
yeah, I see your point. But I also like. I also want to ask another question.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, right now, uh, like dead, dead animals. Okay. So let's say, like, environmentally dead animals. Do we can like in veganism, is it okay to harvest their meat if they're naturally dead, like from another
Yeah.
animal, like predators?
Yeah,
It's
like
okay.
if you find an animal in the wilderness, out in the in the desert or the forest or whatever, if you find an animal who has died of natural causes, they're already dead, and you want to eat their dead body, uh, there may not be any ethical problem with that. That might be okay, because it's not about eating meat; it's about killing animals. That's the problem: is ending their lives before they were ready, before nature would have taken them. So they had a future waiting to be enjoyed. They wanted to continue living. We took that from them. That's the problem. Um, but if they die naturally and you want to eat them, I guess go for it. It sounds pretty gross to me. It's bad for your body. Like heart disease from cholesterol and different kinds of cancer from animal proteins. But at least you didn't kill an animal. It might, might not be the most ethical thing to do. Maybe the most ethical thing to do would be to, like, give them a proper burial, like you would, respect one of your friends or family members who died, like dig them a grave, or leave them out there in the wilderness so that other animals who actually do need to eat meat can eat that carcass instead of you eating it when you could just eat plants. Um, but I wouldn't like give you a hard time if you ate an animal who was already dead, who wasn't like murdered by humans.
I see.
In the same
Yeah,
way
of
that,
course.
like, if you found a dead human and you want to
Uh,
eat this dead human, if they didn't care if you ate them after they died, and if they don't have a family that cares that you're eating their loved one, Or if their family is fine with you eating their loved one's dead body, then go for it. Like, I don't have a problem eating humans at that point
Go
either,
for it.
because like the only problem I have with cannibalism is that it's, generally speaking, you're killing somebody in order to eat them. But if they die, of natural causes, no
You
problem.
know,
Who cares?
brother. Okay.
I'm not recommending it. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you're not hurting
Yeah.
anybody.
I see your point. Okay, I don't want to like continue this for so long because other people have questions. Last question. Let's say, for example, someone is vegan. Okay, for the animals' sake, not plant-based vegan, and he like is, is I wouldn't say fat, is just overweight, and he wants to lose weight or grow abs, for example. He needs protein for that. What do you guys eat to
Okay,
get
sure.
protein?
Yeah, so yeah, you can be vegan and eat nothing but candy all day, and you're as long as it's vegan candy, you're not hurting animals, so you're vegan, but you're not going to be healthy because you need to eat a well balanced, nutritious diet. So there's a bunch of vegan athletes out there already that you can look up. Like there's a movie called The Game Changers on Netflix or YouTube, The Game Changers, about vegan athletes. But yeah, we eat rice, pasta, fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, beans, bread, and then we have vegan burgers, vegan pizza, vegan ice cream, vegan chicken, vegan cheese, all that stuff. So yeah, there's plenty of protein and all the nutrients you need in a plant-based diet. Doctors recommend that everybody, whether you're vegan or not, take a daily multivitamin pill to make sure you're getting enough vitamin B12, vitamin D, and other essential nutrients and minerals and vitamins. But yeah, protein is found in plants. So we've got beans and lentils and rice and chickpeas, and I mean, there's protein in bread, all kinds of stuff. So you can look up like vegan protein or plant-based protein or plant foods high in protein, or uh, look up vegan bodybuilders and what they eat.
Oh, okay. Okay, man. It's so nice to talk to you and talk to someone and humbly listen to them. So now I'm gonna go. Okay, see you later.
Okay, thank you. And go look up some vegan Muslims on YouTube and see what vegan Muslims have to say.